Hi, this is Tobi. I have for you today a grounding yoga practice. So hopefully it will help you to feel a little bit more stable, a little bit more comfortable, and anything you need to modify, of course, feel free to do what is appropriate for your body. I am going to say a little bit more about ways to use the props today. So if you have a thick blanket and or a foam roller or a block or even a stack of books that you'd like to tie together, anything that will help to support you that is stable. So let's go ahead and get started. Begin in child's pose. From hands and knees, you can bring your hips back towards your heels. Knees can be wide apart or together. You can reach your arms forward, or if this hurts your shoulders, go ahead and bend the elbows. I have a blanket under my torso, but you could also use a block or a blanket on top of your block. If this doesn't work for your knees, bring a blanket behind the knees to make a little space. Start to pay attention to your breath today. Let your belly begin to expand on your inhales. And as you breathe out, just bring the belly button a little bit towards the spine, completing your full exhale. We'll start to extend the breath. So belly expands, your rib cage expands out in all directions. As you breathe in and as you breathe out, let the rib cage draw in and the belly tuck gently. And then we'll just add the top of the lungs. So belly expands, rib cage expands. You might even feel your collarbones lift. And exhale back from the top down. So you might like a prop underneath each forearm to open the shoulders even more. Or you can use your foam roller. Might be under the wrists. So let your breath be full and long. And let your neck relax. On your next inhale, we're going to lift up into table pose, your hands and knees. Do make sure that your knees are directly under the hips. You might want your legs on your blanket here. And your wrists are directly under the shoulders. So we're taking it into a couple of cat-cow poses. So on your inhale, we'll lift the head and tailbone, and on your exhale, we'll round the spine, tucking the tailbone under, tucking the chin towards your chest. You might like to take a couple breaths in each pose here. You're really trying to press the floor away from you when you get the rounding of the spine. And on your inhale, we'll come back into your cow, lifting the head and tailbone, belly drops. And on your exhale, again, we round the spine here. So while we're moving and breathing, we're going to start to engage the bandhas, our energy locks, little bit of a lift of the pelvic floor. That's our Mula Bandha, to create a little bit of support. And then just above that, a couple finger widths underneath your belly button, we're going to engage our Uddiyana Bandha. So taking the lower belly, drawing it a little bit in towards the spine, a little bit upward. So we don't have to be super clenched, but just like you're going to put on a tight pair of pants, you're just going to suck in just a little bit to get that buttoned. So as you move and breathe here, really try to feel the length in the spine, the length through the back of the neck. Even when we're getting that lift, we want to keep a little bit of space in the neck. And then if you like, we're just going to go side to side. So on an exhale, you can peek over one shoulder towards the hip. Maybe the hip even comes towards the face. On your inhales, we're coming to center. And we're exhaling over to the other side. So you can take a few like this. You might like to take some circles with the hips and the head, whatever feels good for your spine here. Coming back to neutral, we're going to go ahead and get into the wrists. So bring the back of one or both hands to the mat. So your fingers will be facing your knee. And we're just going to stretch out the back of the wrists here. If you like, you can drop your hips back towards your heels to get a little bit more of a stretch, but it's not necessary. So if it feels appropriate for your body, go ahead and do it. And if it doesn't, please honor your body today. Then we're just going to flip the hand so the palm is on the floor. The fingers again will face the knees. You can do one at a time. You might, again, sink your hips back towards your heels. Make sure you can still breathe. You can curl your toes under and sit back towards your heels if that works for you. And we're just shaking out the wrists here. Bring a little circulation back. We're going to come through table and bring your hands a little bit in front of the shoulders this time, preparing for our downward facing dog. So toes curl under, lift the hips up and back, and we're just going to walk our dog here. Shifting the hips, if you like, bending one knee at a time and then the other. We're just trying to work out any tension here. And you really want to bring your mind back to feeling the floor under all 10 fingers. Really try to spread those fingers wide. And the middle finger is pointing directly forward. All other fingers are stretching out. We're going to go ahead and use a prop here if you like, just an option. You can grab your block and we're going to bring it underneath the forehead or maybe even the top of your head as you come back into your downward facing dog. So this is just a way to support the back of the neck. You do want to feel stable here, not like you're crunching up the neck. So if it feels like you're falling forward, feel free to step your feet a little bit wider apart from each other. You could even be stepping off the edges of your mat. This will eventually be like a resting pose. On an exhale, we're just going to step the feet forward towards the front of the mat. And we're lifting into a halfway forward fold on an inhale. So you might gaze forward, you might gaze down. You could use the block under your fingers, or you can bring your hands to your shins. And on an exhale, we're folding down into our standing forward fold here. You might like your hands on the floor or a block, or you could even grab opposing elbows here. So we're using the weight of the upper body to gently draw you into your forward fold. We want to encourage some length through the spine as well as through the back of the legs. So feel free to pedal out the knees here if you like. Kind of swaying the torso from side to side if that feels natural, if that feels good for you. Make sure you're still breathing fully, and we want to feel the four corners of your feet on the floor here. So the ball of the foot at the pinky toe side, and your inner and outer heel. On an inhale, we're going to lift up halfway. Again, hands might be on the block. Gaze goes forward. On your exhale, bring the hands to the hips. Inhale, lift up. You could even lean back, gazing up if that is acceptable for the neck today. And exhale, hands to heart center, samastiti. So we want to scan the entire body here. The four corners of the feet, your toes are spread wide apart, trying to root down into maybe the big toe. Thighs are engaged. Your bandhas are engaged. We're trying to roll the shoulders down and back. Your heart can lift. And we want to think of taking the very crown of the head up towards the ceiling. On your inhale, we're bending the knees and then circle the arms up towards the sky. So we're coming into our chair pose. When you peek down, you do want to see your toes just peeping out from beyond the knees. So your weight is going to sink back a little bit more into the heels here. If your upper arms don't come in line with the ears, that's okay, but do try to reach the shoulder blades down towards the hips. Breathe, relax your jaw here. And on your exhale, we're coming back into that forward fold. So still let the shoulder blades come down towards the hips, letting the neck relax here. Inhale, lift up halfway. Your gaze can go forward. On your exhale, we're stepping back to the top of our push-up. And today we're going to shift forward. And on an exhale, you're lowering all the way down to the belly. Coming into Sphinx pose, so you can point the toes and bring the forearms down onto the floor. So you might have your shoulders directly above the elbows, but if this hurts your lower back, just bring your elbows a little bit more forward. So we are trying to roll the shoulders back. Heart is trying to come forward, and your gaze can be forward. It can be a little bit up. And on an exhale, we're peeking over your right shoulder. And we're just going to get into the back of the neck a little bit here. So you can feel free to roll the head, just getting into any of those tight spaces. On an inhale, we're coming back, the gaze is coming back to center. And on an exhale, go ahead and peep over your left shoulder here. Again, just working out any tight spaces in the back of the neck for this side. And as in any pose, make sure you can still breathe. If you're not breathing, that means you've gone maybe a little bit too far in the pose, a little bit beyond your edge. On an inhale, we're going to come back to center. Again, gaze can be forward or slightly up. And exhale, plant the hands under the shoulders. Curl your toes under. Inhale, we're pressing back up through your plank. And exhaling back into your down dog, hips up and back. If that doesn't work for you, you're just going to be coming through your table pose into your down dog. Just getting there in some way. So do roll the shoulders outward in your down dog, out towards the edges of the mat and back. Just for safety of the shoulders. On your inhale, let's lift the left leg up and back. You might want to stack the hip open if that feels good for you, bending the knee. And just try to re-even out the shoulders here. On an exhale, step the left foot forward and you're planting the right heel down and back. So do have a line from your left heel to the right arch, imaginary tightrope. And on an inhale, you're bringing your arms to a T. So bend into that left knee, trying to keep the left knee over the left ankle. And let's take the left hand to the left thigh. Think of engaging that thigh. And then bring the arms back to a T, and your soft gaze is over the left middle finger here. So we're trying to feel nice and solid through the legs. Let the hips sink down, and from the hips up, you're getting a little lift, a little length in the torso. On an exhale, bring the hands to the inside of the left foot, coming off the right heel. So let the hips sink forward and down. You can stay on the hands here. You can lower the forearms to a prop if you like. Or you can even let the forearms come to the ground here. So you don't want to have a ripping pain in the right thigh. You might need to let the right knee come down to the floor if that feels better for you here. Just trying to get a nice stretch. You might sneak the left shoulder under the left thigh here if that feels good, if it's needed. And here I'm using the block under my forehead. So just to relax the back of the neck here. Release your left arm if you took a bind, and inhale will come up onto the hands. And on an exhale, move the hands towards the back of the mat and put a bend in the right knee. So the right knee is about at a 45-degree angle. You can bring your hands to a block or the heart center. And you can have the left foot flexed. If this doesn't work for your right knee, you don't have to be super low here for your low side lunge. So we're taking a twist. Exhale the right hand over to the right, inhaling the left arm up, and maybe taking the left arm behind the back here. And feel free to take a bind by wrapping the right arm around the right knee. Just an option if you need that. On an exhale, bring the hands back towards the back of the mat, and we're going to let the left knee come down to the floor here. Bending the right knee. You can stay low, leaving the fingertips on the floor. You could bring the hands to your right thigh, letting the heart open, letting the shoulders roll back. Gaze can stay forward or up. And you can add the arms. Hands are together or apart if that is hunching up the shoulders too much. Exhale, hands down. We're curling the back toes under, and go ahead and step back again to the top of your push-up or to your knees. And on an exhale, your next exhale, we're going to lower down or halfway down. Inhale, lift the heart into your up dog. Arms might be straight. You might have the hips off the mat here. And on an exhale, hips come up and back into your downward facing dog once again. breathe here. Relax the heart, relax the back of the neck. Coming back to that intention of feeling stable here. On your inhale, let's lift that right leg up and back. Again, if it feels good, you can stack the right hip open over the left. Once again, pay attention to the shoulders, all 10 fingers. And on your exhale, the right foot steps forward this time, lining up the right heel and the left arch, feeling nice and stable. And then we'll take our inhale to sweep the arms to a T for your warrior 2. Right hand can come to the right thigh as you feel it press up into the right hand or finger. And then we'll return the arms to a T. So shoulder blades are drawing towards each other, and then relax them down the back here. On your exhale, windmill the hands once again to the inside of your right foot. And we're taking that dragon here, or AKA lizard pose. So any of the modifications you like to do, any props you like to use, go ahead and please use them as you see fit. We're trying to relax the heart again towards the earth here. Release your bind if you have it. Once again, come up onto the hands. And on an exhale, we're moving towards our low side lunge on this side. So again, any variations you like here, hands can be on a block, on the floor, at the heart center. And if you like to take that twist, bring the left hand over to the left and inhale the right arm up at a 45-degree angle. Gaze follows, and maybe you are wrapping your hands behind your back. They might or might not touch. Again, not important. It's just to open up the shoulders here, so it shouldn't feel painful. On an exhale, we'll release both hands. Once again, moving towards now the front of the mat, and we're going to drop the back knee down. So you can, again, stay low. You can take the hands to the front thigh. You can lift them up. Depending on your neck, your gaze would be forward or possibly up towards the ceiling here. But we're not trying to crank the neck. We're not trying to force anything. Exhale, hands down. Step back to the top of your push-up, and this time I'm lowering onto my knees, chest, and chin. Inhale just to a cobra, letting the hips stay down, elbows bend, and we're exhaling back into our child's pose here. So allow yourself to feel supported by the earth here. That idea that the earth is something that is always here for you. On your inhale, we're lifting up through our table pose. You're just going to exhale, coming into a seat. So you can face the front of your mat if you like. I'm just facing the side of my mat for demonstration purposes. So we're coming into a bound angle or Baddha Konasana pose. So the soles of the feet are together. Feet are either close to your body or out a little bit further in front of you, whatever is okay for your knees here. So you might open your soles of your feet like you're reading a book. If you need to feel something a little bit more here, go ahead and bring your feet on top of a block. So first we're sitting tall through the entire spine. Let your shoulders come down. And you might exhale to fold forward, staying long through the spine though. So you can bring your forearms to a block if you like. Maybe they're all the way down on the mat. You might have your prop underneath your forehead if you like. So here you shouldn't feel any pain or pulling or ripping at the lower back especially. So we're really trying to just hinge at the hips for this version of our forward fold today. So if your sitting bones start to come off the mat, just try to press them back down. On an inhale, let's start to bring the hands back towards you. And on an exhale, you're just going to bring your hands back behind the hips. Roll the shoulders back here. And inhale, you can lift the heart. You may or may not drop the head back. And inhale, we'll bring the hands forward again. And we're just going to come into a version of our sleeping swan here. So bend your right knee, have it behind, right leg behind you. And the left knee will bend at about a 90-degree angle in front of you. So your back knee could be starting to straighten. It could be bent a little bit more. And on an inhale, we're lifting through the spine. And you might exhale and come forward. So feel free to stay lifted on your hands. You can again lower onto the forearms. Forearms can be on a prop. Prop might be under your forehead or under your torso here. So you can even use the blanket if you like. So go ahead and flex your left foot if you feel any twinginess of your knee. Or you might even need a prop somewhere under your left thigh. So you want to just relax the spine here. If it's too much to go forward over your front shin, you can be over the left knee a little bit more if that feels better. Might be a little bit less intense. So have the intention of letting go here a little bit. On an inhale, we'll start to walk the hands back up towards your body. And on an exhale, we're just going to windshield wiper the knees. So come back onto your sits bones. And we're just going to lean back if that feels good. You can drop the head back. Then we're going to come to face the back of the mat. And again, we're just going to do the same thing, but with the right foot forward this time. Again, wherever you need your back knee so that you're not cramping up in that back hip, go ahead and adjust. Once again, fingertips can come forward or to a block. Find your length. And then on an exhale, we're just going to melt forward. Again, over the shin or over the knee. This side might be a little or a lot different. We're not going to worry about it. And we have the idea of just melting down here. This is a place where we can have the intention of letting go of all those mental things that we don't need. Perfect time to let go of grudges or guilt. On an inhale, once again, we'll walk the hands back up towards your body. And exhale, coming onto the sitting bones. And again, we're just going to windshield wiper the knees to one side and the other. And now we're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold. So feel free to stay towards the long edge of the mat. Bring the hands behind you. Take an inhale to lift and lengthen the spine. And on an exhale, we're going to walk the hands forward. So feel free to stay lifted. Feel free to lower the belly towards the earth. You can use those props. And do try to keep the legs active here so the feet are flexed. Neck is relaxed. Try to relax the shoulders here a little bit. And you do still have the support of the bandhas here, those energy locks. Just a little bit of an energetic engagement. On an inhale, once again, we're walking the hands back up. And exhale, bend the knees. And here we go on to the back. So you might like to take your block or your foam roller or even your blanket here. And you're going to bend the knees, lifting the hips up. And just find some support underneath the lower back or maybe even a little bit more the sacrum depending on your prop and your body here. So a supported bridge pose. You can bring your hands back behind you. You might grab your elbows if you like. You may, like I'm doing here, extend your legs if that is not too intense. But feel free to keep the feet flat on the floor if that feels better for you here. So we are encouraging some length in the back of the neck here as well. So we're trying not to drop the chin towards the chest, but your heart will come up a little bit up and back towards the chin. You might bring a little attention to how you feel at the heart center here, without any sense of judgment. No demands here today. On an exhale, if you have a bind, release your hands. Rebend your knees if you straightened them. And we're just going to take the prop out from under you here. Bring your knees in, hugging around the shins. You might bring your forehead up towards the knees if you like. We're just going to roll around a little bit here. Knees can come in circles in each direction. Just trying to release any tension that might have snuck into the lower back here. All right, so release the arms down, taking it into a final twist. You can drop your knees over to the right, gazing to the left. You might have your arms to a T or in cactus arms. And we are trying to flatten the shoulder blades towards the mat here. You might like to bring your right hand to the outside of the left thigh as I have here, just to encourage the knees to come towards the earth. They don't have to touch, but you're not trying to put effort into holding the legs up here. Inhale, let the gaze and knees come back to center. And on an exhale, just let them go over to the other side. You might be peeking over your right shoulder. And again, try to flatten out the shoulder blades to the earth here. I know if you're super tight in the shoulders, they might not come all the way down. That's perfectly fine. That's just a place we might be headed. On your inhale, once again, we're coming back to center. You might again like to hug in, bringing the knees towards the nose towards the knees. And exhale, here we go into our Shavasana. So before you come all the way into your resting pose, you might like to have your right hand on your heart here and the left hand on the belly, if that resonates with you. So your entire body is softening, relaxing. Let your bones feel heavy. Let your muscles relax over the bones. Skin relaxes over the muscles. All the facial muscles are relaxed. Your eyes might close here. We're just preparing to take rest. Now, if your mind gets busy, that's what the brain wants to do. That's okay. We're just noticing the thoughts and letting them come and go, not trying to get too wrapped up into a spiral of thoughts. Just like we're watching those clouds go right across the sky. Just watching the thoughts come and go. And we'll release the hands back to the side of the body if they are not already. And start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. On an inhale, you can reach your arms behind you, reaching the toes forward. And exhale, hug the knees in once again. We're just going to roll on to your favorite side for a moment, maybe making a pillow with your bottom arm. Taking this moment to have some gratitude for yourself for coming to your yoga practice. Noticing how you feel. On an inhale, we'll press ourselves up to a comfortable seat, whatever's comfortable for you. Let yourself sit tall. We're going to bring the right hand to the heart center and your left hand to your belly here. Just taking a moment to notice how you feel, letting the sitting bones root down, letting the crown of the head reach up. And if you like, bring your hands together at the heart center. The divine joy and light in me honors, reflects, and bows to the same divine joy and light that dwells in you. Namaste.
So that is the practice I had for you today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. And I hope you have a beautiful day.